Good morning, Ranchview, and welcome to day 12 of Elenum Music Online. I have a bunch of shout outs today. I had a lot of fun yesterday, so I got a lot of people to say thank you to. So first shout out goes to Ruby for always reading my mind and being one step ahead of me on the theory project. She doesn't realize it, but she's given me a lot of ideas for what to do each day because she's always one step ahead. So nice job, Ruby. Shout out to Dean and his dog, because for his reflection for last week, Dean's dog decided to join in and hang out the whole time and perform with him, which I think is awesome. Every time I play, my dog runs away, so I love that yours participates with you. Shout out to Ethan for having excellent taste in music and hanging out with me online and chatting about that a little bit. And then Shanette and Avery, shout out to you guys as well, because they put together a duet from Newsies and shared that out on Twitter, which I thought was pretty impressive. So I'm going to share a little snippet of that and then hopefully learn from them so that we can start working towards our first virtual performance as a Ranchview program as well.
Behold the brave battalion that stands side by side, too few in number and too proud to hide, and say to the others who did not make it through, you're still our brothers and we will fight for you.
Moving into our goals for today. Sectionals and office hours today are going to be beginning with office hours at 10:30, so that'll be 10:30 to 11:15. At 11:15, jazz band, I want to have a meeting, more of a meeting than sectionals, just so that we can kind of talk through plans moving forward, importance of Google Classroom for our club, things like that. So at 11:15, I'll meet with jazz band, we'll talk a little, we'll play a little, and then at 11:30, percussion will have sectionals today. So percussion, I want to go a little bit longer than we normally do. So we'll do 11:30 to 12 so that we can make sure that we're hitting each individual instrument type separately for every song that we need to. It'll be more of a as you need sectional. So plan on coming right at 11:30. I'll answer all of the questions that you guys might have. And then if we are ready and we want to finish early, we can. So it may not go all the way until noon. Goals for today, practice as always 15 to 30 minutes, but today I would like you to start with All-Star. So you'll see tomorrow why I want to focus here, but I want every single person, band, orchestra, choir, percussion, to start with All-Star today and see if you can become really comfortable with that. If you're feeling really good with it and you're ready to move on to something else, then you can choose what to move on to next. But initial goal, I want everyone starting with All-Star. As always, journaling as you go, checking in with reflections from previous days, making sure you have a set goal, things like that, just like we do every day. On the note flight side of things, today is where we get to actually start the creation of your arrangement. To this point, we've basically have created our score and we've copied from the previous person that we're going to be adapting our music from. Today is where things start to become a little bit more free-flowy and creative, which for some of you, those of you that have a strong tendency towards that yellow conceptual type, is going to be really exciting. For those of you who are like me, who tend to lean more on the green or structural, or even on the blue analytical, which is so not me, but I think you'll probably agree with me, this can be the scary part. So getting out into the world of anything you feel like you like goes can be pretty scary for some of you. So be patient with yourself, ask me questions, come check in with office hours. But for now, let's move over to the computer so I can kind of talk you through what today is going to look like on Note Flight. All right, so before we get into today's goal for Note Flight, I want to make sure we're all on the same page, because what we're about to do today is going to mess with things, and you don't want to mess with things unless you're all the way where I am. So by now you should have your title, your composer, your name for the arranger, a piano part with 16 measures worth of music written in, and then the 2 additional parts that you're creating for your duet with the music from the piano part copied in. If you are not at that point, then don't do today's step. Then I want you to go back and make sure you get to this point before you do anything else, because we're about to delete some things, and once you do that, there's no going back. So if you're in the same place as I am and you're feeling good with your copy and paste from last time that you got your music into your duet, then we're going to start with the scariest part of today. So bring up your parts list using that little guitar in the score menu and go to your piano part. You see that little trash can? You're going to hit it and the piano is gone. That's intentional. You don't need it anymore. Now you just have your duet with the music you copied in from the piano part for 16 measures. If you did that and you panic and you're not ready, Control Z or Command Z if you're on a Mac and bring that piano part back. But as soon as you feel like you're ready for it, the first thing you do today is delete that piano part and then make sure, please, hit save. First things first, depending on the parts that you chose, the instruments you're writing for or the voices you're writing for, some instruments are capable of playing 2 notes at a time and some are not. So if you look at my part here, my flute player has 2 notes at a time and that's not possible. The only people that we have that can play 2 notes at a time are percussion and strings. So make sure if you have 2 notes at once, you're going to go ahead and delete one. So I'm going to, at this point, say, I want to get rid of the bottom note for flute. So make sure you've highlighted the correct one, hit backspace, and there you have it. That extra note is gone. So that's your first step. Make sure you only have 1 note at a time so that you're not having an instrument try and play 2 notes that can't. Then, the second step for today is to check your ranges. We have what's called written pitch and concert pitch. So written pitch is what the instrument will see on their music, and concert pitch is what the audience will hear them play. So up here in the score menu, next to that little guitar, you're going to see a little tuning fork, and when you hover over it, it says show in concert pitch. You want to uncheck that option, and now if you look at my music, the trumpet has changed to a different key because they are what's called a transposing instrument. Now that you are in what's called written pitch and you're going to be writing your music for the performer that's going to be looking at it, now we're going to check range. So in Google Classroom, in the same place that you saw this video, you're going to see a document that's called ranges. That PDF will show you, for Ranchview specifically, what our average ranges are for every instrument and voice type. So choir will be at the top, soprano, alto, tenor, bass. Then we have orchestra in the middle, violin, viola, cello, bass, and band instruments at the bottom. We're going to have all of the band instruments. I just realized this typo. That should say oboe, not clarinet, so I'll fix that and re-upload. So let's look at flute, for example, because my duet part has a flute. So if you look here at the bottom on that space, I've said that's the lowest average note that our flute players can play. Some of our flute players can play lower. So if you're writing for someone specifically, you may want to check with them and say, can you play above or below this range? But this is going to give you a really good standard starting range for everyone at Ranchview. So if I say that bottom space is our flute player's lowest note, then in my music, I'm already starting way too low for flute. So I need to raise that up to a note that they are capable of playing. 2 ways to do it. The first way to do it is you can click on that note, and that is a low G, so I'm going to move it to their comfortable G range, and I'm just going to up arrow until I get there. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So now it's on a note that they can play. The room for error, just by hitting the up arrow a bunch of times, is really high. So an easier and probably a better way, safer way to do that is to click the note in question, hold Control or Command if you're on a Mac, and then up arrow just once. What that did is it took my note and it raised it 1 octave, meaning it took it from the low G to a higher G. That's going to save you a lot of time because you can just Control up and it jumps it up an octave to the right note or to the right range, rather than hitting it up and trying to keep track A, B, C, D, E, F, G until it's in the right spot. I think that's going to be easier, but both options will work. So now you can see that those notes are in the correct range. This will take some time. You're going to have to go through the entire song and check your ranges so that the person you give this music to will be able to play it. So take some time playing with note flight, see what happens. There's no written note flight assignment today. What I would like you to do, if you have the time, is check out that YouTube playlist we created last week. Listen to a handful of songs, let it just play in the background as you're working on something else. See if anything jumps out at you. The idea of this playlist is that you can gain some inspiration from it. You're going to be hearing other people do renditions of songs that maybe you know really well, and they might be doing things differently than you expected. So listen to a handful of songs, see if there's anything that surprised you. Was there something that you liked more than you expected to? Was there a video of a song that really jumped out and you thought, wow, that was cool? I really liked the a cappella version of Sandman. I thought that was pretty cool. But the one that really took me by surprise was the Two Cellos cover of Wake Me Up. I thought that was really neat, not just the way that they played the music, but also the way that they created that video to go along with it. So those are the two that kind of struck me when I was listening to the playlist. But check it out, see if there's anything in there that can kind of spark your interest and get your creative juices flowing, as they say. But nothing to turn in today. No theory assignment that needs to be completed. Take your time with this, play around with it. Deleting that piano part can be a little bit scary because now it's all you and now you have to start creating things. So play with it. Let me know if you have questions. Focusing on All-Star for practice today. And that's all I got. So I will see you guys tomorrow.